So, hello and welcome to my UDK asset creation tutorial. My name is Revo, and in this section I'm going to explain my low to high poly workflow within Max 2012. Before I continue, I must warn you that some of the features won't work in previous Max versions, such as the new material editor, because it's not implemented in the previous versions. So, anyway, let's get started. Okay, so where do we start? Well, first we search for a good reference image because we are not professionals yet. Anyway, so first I search for an image. I searched for a knife, a pretty good one, and I've created a material and attached that bitmap to the diffuse channel, which is I'm going to show you now. This is it. It's pretty basic military knife or combat knife, as you please. Anyway, what I've done is I've just quickly created a plane and I've attached this material to it, as you can see here. And after this, I've started to create my low poly model. The reason why I start with the low poly because that it's much easier to create a high version out of it than vice versa, because in a high poly model you will be facing some difficulties with all the details in it, and it's much difficult to make a lower version of it than starting with a lower version and make it a high resolution one. So first I started to quickly make a rough sketch out of it, which looks like this. Well, it has all the basic geography data on it, and I think I'm pretty good with the result, the end result of it, because it will be a first-person view model, and even though it has more than 1000 triangles, it doesn't matter, because first-person models are better in quality, and if you want to make something awesome you have to spend triangles on it. And not to mention that later on, when we're going to bake the higher version to this lower one, you have to keep in mind that the better your lower version one matches the higher one, the better baking results you get. So for example, if you would make just a simple plain model in this middle part, it would result some bugs which you will have to manually correct, and it won't look so good in the end, because you will see that it's just a flat surface. So anyway, I'm not going to go into details. That's how I've made this, because that's another section. But let me show you quickly the the high poly version of it. It has about 6000 triangles. It's not that much, but I don't need more resolution to it, because I'm pleased with the results I've achieved. As you can see, it has a bit more smooth on it. Well, one thing that I haven't used the Turbo Smooth modifier. I just used the subdivision on this poly, so it's the same. It's nothing special. And basically that's it. So you create the low poly version, which you can see here. Another example, the knife. Well, as you can see, it has some flow because I haven't finished this section. this whole section and the edge of the knife, but probably later on I'm going to make some or add some details onto it. And one thing that I have to mention before I finish this section, that as you can see it has a 90 degrees edge. Now when you work with high and low poly models, you have to keep in mind that you have to avoid these kind of edges because they are not going to work with baking. Normal maps and other maps such as ambient occlusion. So you always have to avoid these edges. So for example, in this I would do that. I would just quickly select all these edges, not manually, but I'm going to do this now because I'm a lazy bastard. So anyway, you just select the edges, and even though it's a finished object, you can still chamfer edges, which will make the transparency from the upper plane to the hole, which will result that there won't be any 90 degrees edges. So in the end you will get a quite smooth result when baking it. But that's another story. I'm not going to cover this. Yeah, and one more important thing to keep in mind, that let me show you first. So as you can see, if you start with the low poly and make a high poly out of it, you can see it pretty much matches the low poly one quite good, which is another thing to keep in mind, that the bigger the difference between the two of them, the worse the worse result you will get in the end when you try to bake it. So you have to keep in mind that they have to match as much as you can make them without increasing the low poly too much on its triangle count, that is. So let's move on to the next section when we are going to bake this, to make this low poly to look like as if it would be a high poly version.